right, folks, we move on. Absolutely. I'm sorry. We're really short on time right now. I'm sorry, but he will be here. So if you want to talk to him, if anybody wants to go in and out of the room to grab a lunch box, sandwich box, or back to the bar, that's welcome as well. I can't wait to introduce our next speaker. We've been on stage together before. Last time was a debate between Ovid LaMontagne and Maggie Hassan. Well, we know who won the debate at least. Andrew Hemingway is the director of the New Hampshire Republican Leadership Institute and CEO of online payment processor Grassloop. Andrew has been active in the Tea Party and the Tea Party supporters since its inception and has been attending and speaking at Tea Party events all over the country. Andrew is a leader in political technology, hosting the first ever all-Twitter presidential debate where 6 presidential hopefuls debated on the social networking site. Andrew currently consults with leading liberty groups and on digital organizing, fundraising, and communications. Andrew Hemingway.
All right, good morning. It's, well, I guess it's afternoon now, isn't it? That went pretty quickly. It was a great, good to hear from some of these people. I want to talk a little bit about New Hampshire. I want to tie this back to New Hampshire, because you know what? New Hampshire is not just significant because of the presidential politics and all that stuff. Actually, New Hampshire is significant because our representatives in the Senate and in the House are actually at the forefront of several of the scandals going on. Did you know that? Well, let me tell you a little bit about some of this stuff. We have a U.S. Senator, a distinguished, esteemed U.S. Senator by the name of Jeanne Shaheen. Jeanne Shaheen does not believe in First Amendment rights. She doesn't believe in the freedom of speech. Do you know how I know this? Well, back in February of 2012, Jeanne Shaheen joined with 7 other U.S. senators, Chuck Schumer, some other distinguished U.S. senators, and sent a letter to the IRS to say, you really need to crack down on these C4 politically active groups, specifically the Tea Party and other liberty-oriented groups. Jeanne Shaheen signed that letter with her own hand. Do you know that within days of that, she was appointed as the co-chair of President Obama's campaign? Isn't that amazing? Crony. She's a crony for the Obama campaign. Oh, but it gets better because what many of you might not know is that just a few days later, within a month, within 30 days, she sent an additional letter. They sent another letter to the IRS saying, you need to crack down on these groups. Howie Carr, referred to, they were afraid of their Democratic majority in the Senate. They still are. They should be. And Jeanne Shaheen did all she could to fight this. That's our U.S. Senator. Well, of course, we know that this scandal broke, right? The newspapers. Who was the first person to run to a microphone? Jeanne Shaheen runs to a microphone and feigns outrage. She runs to the microphone and says, this sort of government abuse is completely unacceptable. Well, guess what? The people of New Hampshire, Jeanne Shaheen, you've been exposed, and we find you, Jeanne Shaheen, completely unacceptable. Oh, and now we have two very, very distinguished members of Congress. Really proud to say that my representative is Ann McLean Custer. Now, I live about an hour north. I live on the border of what you consider the North Country. I live in Bristol, New Hampshire. It's beautiful there. There's not a lot of industry, but it's beautiful. We depend on tourism. We love tourists. I know they're a pain driving up the highways and all that stuff, but look, tourists come here and they spend money. Well, what did Ann McLean Custer do for the good people in the North Country? She voted this week in a specific bill, specifically to not fund federal campgrounds. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a holiday weekend. This is Columbus Day weekend. What happens in New Hampshire on Columbus Day weekend? Millions of people, well, not millions, that's an exaggeration, but let's just go with it, okay? Millions of people flock to New Hampshire to see what? The leaves. And where do they stay when they come here? They might stay down in the southern part of the state in some luxurious hotel, or they may take a campground up in the White Mountain National Forest. They may stay in a campsite. But guess what? Ann McLean Custer decided to vote no. And to keep those campgrounds closed, you know they canceled over 5,000 reservations? Do the math, folks. 5,000 families decided to not come to New Hampshire, decided to not drive up 93, decided to not buy gas, decided to not buy t-shirts, decided to not buy food at restaurants because of Ann McLean Custer and her undying allegiance to President Barack Obama. But it gets better. So this week I said, you know what, this is outrageous. I can't stand this anymore. I'm not hearing anything from any Republicans. Like, is anyone going to say anything about this? Where are they? So I bought a couple of radio ads, and I've been playing radio ads all weekend long in our area. This is outrageous what is happening. It's outrageous that she could get away with this. Oh, and in response to radio ads, our distinguished member of Congress decides to issue a press release saying, I'm going to hold a teletown hall because I want to hear from the people of New Hampshire exactly, what they think about the government shutdown. Or what wisdom could be disposed upon her. Oh, but you were actually not invited, the people in this room, because in the press release she said that she would call you. Oh, there wasn't actually there wasn't a phone number published. You couldn't call into this secret telephone hall where our member of Congress wanted to hear from constituents. I want to hear from you. Please tell me what you have for me. No, you can't call in. She doesn't care what you think. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, I'm willing to put money down that she called 10 people. They all laughed about what a great idea this was and how WMUR said she had a teletown hall and how distinguished she looks. And they hang up the phone and they go back about their business, ripping off the people of New Hampshire and the American people. And I am sick and tired of it. And I know that you here in this room are sick and tired of it too. Yeah. We can no longer allow this sort of behavior to go unchecked. Now, I know that it's frustrating because you go, I send letters, I make phone calls, I'm doing everything I possibly can, and I get nowhere. I get nothing. I want to leave you with just a very, very short story, and then I'm going to go because time's short. I have a son, his name's Connor. He's 4 years old, almost 4. He turns 4 on Halloween, okay? I have a Halloween baby. He's lived up to it every day of his life. His mother calls him a little monster. I would never say that, though. Connor's great. I have a daughter, too. I love my daughter. This isn't, against my daughter here. I got a question for you. If, God forbid, Connor were to contract some sort of a terminal disease, we took him to the Children's Hospital in Boston, and we took him to the hospitals in Houston, New York, California. We take him to Luxembourg. Wherever we would have to take Connor, we would take Connor. Why? Because he's my son, because I love him. I would go to the ends of the earth. I would pray that God would give me his disease, right? We would all do that as parents because we love our children. We would do everything we possibly could. And even when doctors told us it's not going to work, even when the press told us, even when we look on the internet and the internet says, look, you can't cure your son, you can't solve this problem, you can't do this, you can't do this. Would we stop as parents? No. No, we wouldn't. So let me ask you, do you love this country?
Yes. Yes.
We have a duty. We have a duty as parents to our children, and we have a duty as citizens and as benefactors of freedom. We have a duty not just to our children, to our posterity, but we have a duty to all the people who will come after us. Not just Americans, but in the entire world. And folks, we are on the front line. We have distinguished positions on the front line in this fight. We have tasted freedom. We must not stop. Do not be discouraged. Hope is not lost. 74% of polled New Hampshire citizens in this last poll and last month said that they have little to no influence in the federal government. 74% of citizens in New Hampshire are disengaging. That's happening all across this country. Don't be discouraged. Do not go away. And as has been mentioned, we have leaders in Washington who are actually starting to stand up and do something about it. We have leaders like Ted Cruz, like Mike Lee, men of principle, who say, I don't care what party leaders say, I'm going to act on principle. And more than party politics and more than party wins, we want representatives who stand on principle, who stand on the Constitution, who understand it and can articulate it. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that today this event will be an encouragement to you, and I hope that you will each determine to not give up, to not surrender, but to say, bring on the fight, because we're ready for it. Onward!
Wouldn't it be great to see more people in Washington like him? More people like that. All right, thanks so much, Andrew.
Croc TV.